Welcome back. Did y'all miss me? Welcome back to the Real Is Podcast. Yeah, we are back tonight. Yeah, we here. Appreciate you guys. I appreciate you for subscribing. I appreciate you for, just being a fan of the show, being a good steward, being a good alumni. You know, we appreciate, we thoroughly appreciate that, most definitely. So tonight's show is the WIP. Genocide Through Minds Show. What you mean by that, Denny? Well, it's a great deal of equations. If you understand what's going on today, man, today we live in a different world. Totally different world. That is completely out of balance, out of alignment, and out of synchronicity with the universe. You understand what's going on? The chaos. All this stuff starts with, basically the what people think is the God gifted ability to lie. That's a problem, people. Lying is not a God gifted ability. Lying is something that you do profusely when you're entirely insecure. When you're so insecure about, man, like literally like who you are as a person. Like when you have to lie, when you have to lie and you have to say these, things to keep yourself feeling the way you want to feel, but it's not really the fact that you want to feel this way. It's actually the ability of the lack thereof. That's cognitive dissonance. The ability of the lack thereof understanding or wanting to acknowledge, to even have the ability to understand. That's very perplexed and a very sick mind as well. You understand? It's very dangerous when you can never address situations from a real solid root, a real solid fundamental base. When it doesn't have a fundamental, I done told y'all again, y'all need to watch the other shows that I have. If you're listening to me like that, understand that some things are just lies. They have no roots. Lies have no roots. But you can see where things are rooted in lies that exist right now and today. Now, see, you know I got some WIP moments with this type of title to the show. You know I got some WIP moments. Dig, let me get some music playing, please. I miss y'all. I know you miss me. Yeah, we back on. Hope you like the digs. Hope you like the shirt. Anyway, let's get some music, man. Let's ride with these WIP moments. You dig? All right, here we go. We're gonna go with some shit. Let's try some here. I hope it ain't lame. I like picking through music though. I fuck with it. I like it. Lame as fuck, but that's lame. They come up with some good shit sometimes. Wrong genre, I guess I'm in. Yeah, see, that's cool. That's something I can really I can flow to that. Got a good little zing to it. I like that. But check it out, man. Genocide Through Minds Show. Oh yeah, we're gonna go there tonight. So let's start off with the first WIP moment for you guys. Let's do that. The first WIP moment is lack of knowledge of self. How many of us truly practice that when you have these outside forces that are very powerful because they're material things, they're actual people, a lot of distractions, situations, and all of the things that you think about is everything that even the things that you choose. And when you get to be a certain age, depending on what that is for you, whenever you have established a place of independence for yourself in a specific order. Listen, Sometimes when you're an adult and you have fared well, you think good of yourself, but that doesn't mean you have knowledge of self. What you have done is put yourself in a place of survival so that way you can feed yourself. Understand me well. When will you settle yourself to get to know better and learn yourself from an interpersonal place? Meaning, know you better than anyone else. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. It's very important to do so. If you know you, you know when people try to manipulate you. You know when people try to come at you, you can see them coming because you, depending on the type of person is their characteristics and how your exchanges in the past have been, meaning you have what? A reference base of your interactions. So when you have a reference base of interactions, if you share certain information, depending on how much you know about yourself and the predictability of said person's response, you have to be smart enough to know what you say, when you say what, and how you say what you have said. That's a display because you put yourself out there. Now people know how much you know about who you are, even from the way they see you. These things are very true. Knowledge of self is the most essential attribute, simply because when you perform and act in truth, you're only displaying the organic version of you. Those are facts. You have to train yourself to be the individual you are carved out to be. It does take training. Talents only get you so far, ladies and gentlemen. Old and young. Talent only gets you so far. You know what gets you where you're supposed to be? Whatever you approach it with GOAT status. Know that what you are trying to do is efficient and it has quality. May not be a whole lot of bells and whistles, but what you will get is a bunch of cleanliness that's next to godliness. That's what you get. Anyway, that was the lack of knowledge of self. If you don't have that, you don't get to shine. You don't get to put yourself out there like you want to because you have sacrificed so much of yourself through not wanting to know you. Moving on to the next WIP moment. Living in a stolen house. What do you mean by that, identity? Well, everybody don't pose in this day and age to be even as their genders are. You have a male that will pose as a female. I'm an old school man. I can differentiate because I've been around, you know. Shout out to the Black Eagle Joe Madison. But anyway, check this out. living in stolen houses, you have to understand people have incorporated themselves in places they have no place in. You want to make decisions in places you have no place in. You have made decisions in places you have no place in. You have interceded yourself into places you have no rights to be in, simply because you do one thing, right? Everything in your favor as a dominant society, simply because you want to exploit the genius of the indigenous. This game is about exploitation. Living in a stolen house, you got to make it yours, right? That's the same thing you said when you was pushing the indigenous out of their homes and out of their buildings and out of their culture and out of life itself. Overlay society. That's right. The whole world share DNA. So, but what you're looking for and what you think that don't measure up or don't you think is right, you got this thing called this. This is how you know when the indigenous live in a stolen house. Because the house that we are actually in is the house of the indigenous, but the dominant society runs the house. That's a stolen house. But the brains and the mindsets of the indigenous are starting to awaken. So therefore, we allow you to know that we may be under a system of hijack, but now is the time to come back into the fold of a true and righteous society. All truth must be unfold. I guess Cat was right when he was on Shannon Sharp. He was solid. He was right. He was right to the mud. So you got to look at all the things that's going on in society right now. All this chaos, But the reason why I don't get intricately into those perspectives of specifics is not necessary, because it's a multitude of versions that are happening. It's called an energy that's being pushed out. You want me to address things specifically, I can. Hey, leave it in the comments, but check this out right here. This is an energy. What I'm trying to do is expose the energy so you can correct your energy within yourself to move forward into a new. You dig? That's your WIP moment for that one. Next WIP moment, when history repeats itself. So you get to see history repeating itself now. But what if you knew more about how not to behave and how to move forward into a just and necessary society? It's because you have an unjust and necessary energy that's pushing at the same time. So we have to outpush the negativity, because that motherfucker ain't going nowhere either. You dig? Outthink, outperform, outclass, and shut foolishness out. Quiet it down. Put it in its place. That's how you move forward on that. Don't allow yourself to be fear-mongered so bad that you can't act. When you hear wrongdoings, that should propel you into action, not being a paralyzed, pathetic prisoner. Don't let history repeat itself in no regard. Move forward. Learn from history. Learn how not to make it relevant in the eyes of the unjust. Understand that. The next WIP moment. Old problems, same situation. I know that sounds like it should be repeating itself, but you know what? No, that's more so of an interpersonal thing with you. Knowing that you do two things. You act insane sometimes because you do the same shit and expect a different result. What? Really? How? You're doing the same shit. When you don't evolve, it shows up. Your repetitiveness becomes reprobation. Your reprobation becomes a sickness in your mind. That's defeat. You're not taking the lessons that you're learning and then capitalizing on them. What you're doing is you're sitting on them and you're forgetting about them because you're not taking action appropriately with yourself, your health, and your mental mind conceptual situation. You are defeating yourself in real time and you don't even know it. You don't even take time to sit and be positive and do something great or self-serving. Those are things that develop you and grow you. What you do is you soak and you talk shit because you're miserable. You should change your circle. You should change your company. The reason why is because you should change the way you conduct yourself mentally. The reason why you can tell how people conduct themselves mentally is because it expresses outwardly, physically. What people don't understand is we're getting better at reading. I'm talking about globally. We're getting better due to the fact that we have so much access with information and we get to see so many of these exchanges and how people behave. And you know something about sociology and philosophy and psychology, you understand when people are telling the truth by the way they behave, how they can maintain. See, truth and power exist as a beautiful couple because the respect levels are beyond comprehensive. That's why truth and power will always reign. And when you try to cover up truth, that's the medicine, the same medicine that will defeat you. We're going to move on to the next WIP moment. No accountability. If you look at how society functions now, everybody wants to raise and be so high, so above others. They don't want accountability. They say, if you put your hand on my wrong ass, I make you pay my wrong ass. Because you out of line. And I can piss you off. Because I can lie on you, steal from you, slap you, beat you. Because I got your ass on the contract. You belong to me, you little bitch. That's wrong, mean, and cruel. But you know what? It's a funny thing about a contract because that's in marriages. Some people have broken, fucked up marriages that are just terrible because they get slaughtered and beat and ridiculed and annihilated. That don't exist in my home at all. But you know what does exist? Love, peace, respect, honor, reciprocity, justice. Love most of all. But I'm going to tell you that respect equation reigns supreme because that's how love is distributed properly. So that no accountability factor is a non-factor in my home, but in the no accountability that exists in you as people, I hope we ain't got no non-accountable alumni on my show. That is a disgusting narcissistic act. That is pitiful pathetic. And poisonous. No accountability. That's how you justify your bullshit. That's how you justify being ain't shit. No accountability. You should be disgusted with your fucking self. If you are from the ages of 21 or better, if you don't know how to practice accountability, you don't even know how to tell the truth. You don't know the truth from a lie because you like telling them. And it starts young. I ain't bullshit with y'all. That no accountability factor is it's a sour attribute. It throws the universe in chaos. It's just like a lie. There's no resolve. There's no specific resolve at all. Damn. Why? Because you write laws in your favor. Get y'all a copy of that book. Black Laws Dictionary. For real. You should. Because it will teach you how that can't happen again. But what already is. It exists in you, not outside of you. The world could be made over a multitude of times. Check it out. I did a show about the excavation. It got no low numbers, but the excavation of the excavation of land, the excavation of you, the excavation. Look up the word, look what it means, and look what it understands. Look what it helps you understand what an excavation is. And then the same excavator don't want to be accountable. The same excavator don't want to tell you the truth. The same excavator want to act as if it never excavated anything when there is proof that you've excavated everything. Check it out. This is proof. For God, glory, and gold. Do you see this? The remarkable 30-year during which the United States saw its first established colony, the inaugural inland exploration of North America, the greatest survival epic of American history, and the two most extensive expeditions ever to traverse the continent. What others wrote about the Narvaez expedition? The journey of the Narvaez expedition is one of the greatest survival epics of history in American exploration. Because they had help. They didn't survive on their own. Read the book Howard Zinn. Yeah. The History of the United States, Howard Zinn. I read that book when I was in the Marine Corps, actually. Yeah. Let me specifically tell you the natives are from Siberia. The American Indians suffered the worst atrocities, especially with the reclassifications by the numbers. Reclassification by the numbers. Whew. Let me show you where I'm really from. This place, they aiming up for Pensacola fugitive slaves on the Atlantic and Southern frontiers. There you go. Matthew J. Clayton. Let me read you this right here. Just when some have declared the idea of slave resistance passe, aiming for Pensacola brilliantly illustrates the political sophistication of the enslaved in taking advantage of social, geographical, abolitionist allies, and military conflicts to become architects of their own freedom. Clavin does nothing short of redefining the history of the Underground Railroad and spells out its forgiving, emancipatory legacy. Manisha Sinha, author of The Counter-Revolution of Slavery, and Stanley Harrell, author of Border Wall, fighting over slavery before the Civil War. This is what he wrote. During the past 50 years, historians have gained an understanding of slave escape networks that existed in the United States prior to the Civil War. Usually, the historians focus on the slaves who went from the upper southern into the northern and Canada, but centered on events in the Florida Gulf Coast, where I'm from, port city of Pensacola. Clavin convincingly demonstrates the similar importance of slave escape in the southern hemisphere, and in the process of provides striking examples of interracial cooperation within the international Atlantic context. What I'm trying to explain to you is, this is a story of how I exist. It's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful book. I'm still reading. Chapter 5, Underground Railroad. In June 1850, after discovering a fugitive slave from Pensacola named Adam hiding aboard the Mary Farrow, Captain Warren prepared for a near-hauling, archaic punishment, performing and throwing victims overboard and dragging them by a rope underneath the boat's keel. The crew, which seemed to have played a part in Adam's concealment, stopped the chastisement from taking place. However, the slave remained on board unmolested during the remaining of the passage. When the vessel reached the destination of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, several weeks later, Captain Warner went ashore of the authorities in his absence. A group of abolitionists climbed aboard and bridge in efforts to locate the stowaway converged, and the crew and several passengers from the Wound sympathized deeply with the slave. Led the railroad, abolitionists made intentions clear. They had come to rescue the black captive. What you don't understand is that black captive was not an African captive. That captive was from North Carolina, indigenous. That's what brought about the Seminoles. That's why that story is so important with what Dr. A.E. is putting out here. Y'all need to check his book out, Florida Negro War, Black Seminoles, and the Second Seminole War. It's a very complex situation we have here in America. The problem that I see is always trying to associate you with something that you are not familiar with. The problem is you're not the African from Africa. You're the American that was reclassified as African. See, the problem is last WIP moment. People reclassified and gentrified don't know who they are. If you don't take the position of understanding your roots, the fallacy's on you. It's Genocide Through Minds Show. They tell you this fabricated history. I tell you to get these books too. Check these out. When the World Was Black, Volume 1 and 2. You understand why they destroyed so many sculptures, why they hide so many things, and why they don't even tell you who they are, who their fathers are, who their mothers and fathers are. They don't tell you that they come from these people right here. They don't tell you that they cosplay them. They don't tell you that. Black indigenous people. Check a couple more books out you can read right here. When Wax Cow Out, The Black Indigenous of the Americas, Research Material and Inquisition. Check out the authors. Horace Butler, Kimberly Norton. I love to give references to these great architects of good commentary and history. Also, I would like you to check out the very cosplayers themselves. The Siberians of Alcatraz. Damn. Yep. It's tough. When they got rid of them, when they throw them away, you gotta understand, they had to take the place of these people right here. These were the useful ones. My ancestors, they were useful. The Siberians were here to cause mischief. Because they brought them here. Again, I show you an appeal in favor that the class of Americans called Africans. Read this commentary, people. You can free your mindsets and free who you are on your own. You don't need nobody to do that for you. That's your responsibility. You are you. You are responsible for you. If you have complexities that you want to realign out in your mind, read Dr. Claude Anderson's work, A Black History Reader. This is a very beautiful, wonderful body of work that he has on display. American Indians from the Southeast, like me. American Indians from the South. This is a 4-class series right here that'll blow your head off. Tell you specifically what they did and how they did what they did, the worst strict authority ever stole, which is why the Siberians claim Native American ancestry. But then you got these people, the removal of the Choctaw, because the Siberian came in and cosplayed them as well. But these were American Indians that were my ancestors. The South, the Southern Indians in the American Revolution, Battle of Burnt Corn, 1812. You know, all of those. It's a multiple revolutionary battles, y'all. The Choctaw, before removal. The removal of the Choctaw Indians. To sit Siberians on the reservations with who owns the casinos and you know that kind of good stuff today. So, Dr. Claude Anderson brought him up. One of his most powerful bodies of work right here, Powernomics. So, the problem is when the Christian commentaries and, you know, the Christian missionaries came into, they had intricate things, these nice trinkets and things, so it split. I mean, they say Pushimata, you know, I can show you where, you know, soul of a white man. He had the straight hair he loved. you know, had the insides. Everybody, like, I'm going to tell you, like Camaro Aha says, man, everybody in your DNA, they may got a good name, but that don't mean they was all the way good for you, Copper Boy. Yeah, don't. DNA is a history lesson within you. The same way you got uncles as coons. Yeah. Dane just got there. But anyway, man, I'm gonna check this out, y'all. Genocide Thought Mind. Genocide through mind. Genocide through your mind, man, I tell you. And the word thought came up between that verbiage and speech that I was coming out, because that means I need to tell you what a thought is. A thought is something that should come from the inside, your gut, your creation, your mindset, who you are. And you should develop that thought. Of course, it would have the characteristics of what's going on today in an actual physical dream, but it can come to life. Keep great thoughts. Don't practice genocide through your mind, because that paralyzes the body. And that's the tool that you need to function, to accomplish, to communicate, to experience, to develop, to prosper, and to win, because it's in you. That's the show tonight. But y'all know this is my favorite part. I want y'all to say it with me. Because you know one thing? The will is yours.